Yes, we are live. Welcome back, my dear friends. This is episode number 72 of Zero Point Healing Show. And in this show, we are going to discuss about an interesting topic, which is empowering your subconscious to empower your birth journey, pregnancy, and fertility. So this is an interesting topic, and I also feel this whole realm of fertility and pregnancy is also something that women needs a lot of support with. So that's what we're going to discuss about today, and I have an amazing PSYCH-K facilitator today with me on my show. So before I move on to her, just a short intro about me. I'm Vishnupriya, and I'm certified in multiple different holistic healing modalities, and right now I am a business coach for spiritual entrepreneurs. I help them build their healing business, and empowering spiritual entrepreneurs is my personal realm of work. And with regards to Zero Point Healing, when I went through my journey of transformation in my life, I saw that different healing modalities, different healers and facilitators in holistic healing helped me move through that different stages in my life, and empowering myself came through this beautiful journey of multiple different modalities. And I also found different modalities had answers to my different questions. Not a single modality had all the answers that I was seeking for. So that's where my interest towards discovering all the various amazing modalities came through. And that kind of inspired me to put together a platform like zeropointhealing.com, which is a web directory of all various different holistic healing modalities. And now there are about 50 different modalities registered on the website. And it is also a web directory of all healers, practitioners, facilitators, instructors in this holistic healing world. So that's what Zero Point Healing is all about. And if you are a healer or a facilitator yourself, I invite you to register at zeropointhealing.com. And if you're interested in one such interview with me, contact me for that as well. All right, so now I am moving on to my beautiful angel here. Welcome, Tashina. Thank you so much for being with me today. And tell us a little bit about your journey into this PSYCH-K world and this whole holistic healing. And also tell us a little bit about your interest towards the fertility and pregnancy topic.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here. So a little bit about me. I have danced my entire life. My mom says I came out dancing, and I always knew since I was a very young girl that I wanted to dance professionally. And so I was at a studio for many years, since about the age of 2.5 to 12-ish. And then at that point, when my parents got divorced, I had to move to a different studio. And then I went in after high school to a performing arts company. And from there, I began doing professional West Coast swing dancing. I still do today. And my journey and introduction into PSYCH-K actually was because of my dance career. And when I left that very first studio, when I was about, again, 12 and a half or so, my mentor that was there, that had been with me since the beginning when I was 2.5, for whatever reason was super upset that I was leaving. And she told me at that, I remember it very specifically, my mom, dad, and I were at a restaurant with her, and my parents had gone to get in the cars, go to the restroom, and she looked at me and she said, "You will never amount to anything as a dancer." And I took that to heart, apparently, and I didn't know that I had taken it to heart until years later, when I was really trying to make a name for myself and have a professional dance career. And so, kind of fast forward into my performing arts company days, I was never really able to land the lead roles that I really wanted to, or I didn't feel like I could be or was achieving what I knew I could achieve inside in that time in my life. And that was very, very frustrating. And then I switched over to West Coast swing and some partner dancing. And again, I was not making headway at all. And I got super frustrated. I considered quitting dance. And I really just felt like I was at a huge crossroads, not knowing what to do next, because my lifelong dream had been to be a professional dancer. I knew I had what it took inside, but I couldn't understand why it wasn't happening. And I was spending hours and tons of money into training and traveling and competing. And I got really frustrated. And luckily, my mom, both my mom and dad are huge supporters of my dream since day one. But I was talking with my mom, and at the time, she was doing clinical hypnotherapy and had also recently started studying PSYCH-K and going down that route. And so I was sharing with her my frustrations, and she said, well, we've got some fun tools. Do you want to try some of them? And I said, well, nothing else is working, so why not? I've got nothing to lose. So we did some hypnotherapy, and I really didn't resonate with that. I didn't connect with it. And she said, okay, well, let's try some PSYCH-K. And so it was very soon within that initial conversation that we started doing PSYCH-K that I had this memory pop up of when I was 12 and a half, that my mentor told me I would never amount to anything as a dancer. And so as she explained it to me, that our subconscious holds our beliefs. And it's almost like the computer that runs the software. And that software can be helpful and beneficial, or it can be detracting to your life. And it doesn't matter what type of software it is, the brain is just going to run it. And so I was running programming, AKA subconscious beliefs, that were holding me back from achieving what I was capable of achieving. And so we started doing a whole bunch of subconscious belief change work around being worthy of being a successful dancer, deserving to have a full-time career as a dancer, it being a fun and joy-filled career. And really, it was at that point, it felt like I unlocked like this huge box inside of me that had been slammed shut for so many years. And so up until that point, I hadn't even been able to make it in competition out of the very beginning. It's called novice in West Coast Swing, and prelims. I couldn't even make it out of this first stage of prelims. And so my mom and I started doing lots of this subconscious change work, and probably within 4 to 5 events, I was making finals. And then within 4 years to the exact weekend, I competed in the champions, which is the highest professional level that you can compete in. I made finals, and I placed, I think it was 5th or 4th in that competition. And so for me, it was through that 4-year journey that I really realized the power that our mindset, our subconscious beliefs have, the impact they have on every area of our life. And so it was at that point, through that I was like, this is amazing work. And it really empowers the individual. It's not a do-to process like a practitioner. It's a do-with process, which is a very empowering experience for the partner that you're working with. And I saw what was happening in my life, and I started using the processes, not just in my dance career, but in other areas of my life. And I just was like, this is something that I have to share with people who feel ready to move past their own blocks, their own limits that they see or they feel, and they don't know how to get past it. And so that was my personal journey into PSYCH-K and the power of the subconscious, and how it impacted my dance career. And as far as the interest in the fertility and the pregnancy, again, that was kind of something I came into the world with. I remember as a child, I didn't want to watch cartoons. I wanted to watch TLC, A Baby Story during summertime. Like, I had no interest in cartoons. I wanted to hear about pregnancies and childbirth, and I've always loved babies. I myself have a 16-month-old son. And so I use these processes a lot through my own fertility, pregnancy, and childbirth experience. And I love what we can do with the subconscious mind. So I've always been fascinated with dance and the realm of new life in the world. And so I do both now. So I'm really happy and excited to say that I'm living both of my life dreams. And it's incredible. And I really feel like it's because of the PSYCH-K that it's really opened up a lot of possibility and opportunity for me to do both.
Wow, that was an amazing story. And from my background as well, I I'm a trained up dancer. I was a professional dancer until about 15, 16 years. So I never knew that you came from the dancing background as well. We did not talk about it. So that was
Yeah.
interesting. But that's so beautiful how those limiting beliefs that came in at 10, 12 years kind of kept us stuck in making money and having a living out of the passion that we have. So that's a beautiful explanation there. So now let's move into the topic of fertility and pregnancy and the birth journey. So tell us a little bit about how these subconscious beliefs might be affecting and even creating issues when, let's say, when a woman is trying to get pregnant. And tell us about this whole topic and what kind of fears and beliefs might be sabotaging them.
Sure, absolutely. So in each culture has its own, if you will, birth story or getting pregnant story that we as young women, young girls hear from early on, whether that's from our parents, our grandparents, or from the advertisements that are thrown in our faces at any given moment, or from our friends, even personal previous experiences. And so what happens at a subconscious level is the subconscious works in the present. And so it doesn't know the difference between what happened with my story, let's say at 12 and a half years old, to now as a woman who is trying to get pregnant. And so it really depends on the individual and their life experience up until the point of when they're trying to get pregnant. So let's say a woman is trying to get pregnant and all she's ever heard from her mom is how hard it was for her to get pregnant, or how horrible or challenging or painful or exhausting her pregnancy was with her. And now this young woman or woman is trying to become pregnant, and it's very possible that she, without realizing it, took on those beliefs or those fears, or the fear that the childbirth process would be extremely painful. I know for sure in the US culture, oftentimes women feel incredibly disempowered in the birthing process. You know, the doctors are rushing around with the nurses, and there's, you know, machinery beeping, and everyone's doing everything to her body, but a lot of women don't feel like they can advocate for themselves and feel empowered in that process. So that can be very scary for someone. And if they're trying to get pregnant and they already have all those fears running in the background, that can cause a huge state of fear and tightening and limiting within the body. And so if an individual is so incredibly scared, even if they're not consciously aware of it, but at a deep level, it can create a lot of challenges internally for the body to relax and allow for the pregnancy to occur. And so it's really about working with the woman and her partner wherever they're at in their stage, whether they're at the beginning stages of wanting to create new life and get pregnant, or whether that's at the beginning, first trimester, or halfway through the pregnancy, or right before the birth process, or even after the birth process. You know, even if a woman has been raped in the past, or she had an abortion at an earlier age, and she's now in a place in her life where she wants a child, but yet has anger and guilt and shame wrapped around that prior experience, that can cause potentially some challenges in getting pregnant and having a successful to term pregnancy. If a woman had a baby, a stillbirth earlier on, and she's welcoming in another child, that may or may not cause potential challenges through her process. And same is true for the husbands, I feel, or the partners. Oftentimes the partners are not included into the experience as much as they can be. And, you know, the partner's also coming to the process of bringing in a new life into their family dynamic with their own stuff that they're working through, their own fears. And so my joy, my love, I feel like part of my calling in life is really to help not only the woman, but the partner work on their things that they know are potentially holding them up as adults in the moment, and working to come together to help create a sound, loving, centered and grounded environment for the child to A, develop in utero, and two, to come into the world, so that that family dynamic can work cohesively together. through every stage. And every stage of life is going to bring about new opportunities to learn about the self. And so being able to have the tools to consistently upgrade, if you will, the beliefs or things that are coming up from the depths of your being is a really empowering dynamic to have in a family, especially from the earliest stages of even trying to get pregnant.
Wow, that's amazing overview about how it is, different experiences, different things that we have heard from our childhood have kind of is creating those kind of challenges into this whole realm of fertility and pregnancy. So now let's talk about how PSYCH-K can actually help us transform some of these challenges that women are facing in this period of pregnancy, and especially during childbirth. So tell us some of your maybe work that you have done with your clients, or what kind of transformation that PSYCH-K can help, can provide a woman.
Excuse me, sure. So PSYCH-K is beautiful because it works at the subconscious level to change the beliefs that are holding us back. And the thing I love about PSYCH-K is it's not so much about where you've been and what's gotten you tripped up or staying stuck in the fear or just talking about it. It's really about actualizing change at the subconscious level. And so in any session I hold with anyone, it's really a matter of them clarifying for themselves, which in and of itself is an incredibly empowering experience, of what they want in their life. What beliefs do they want to live from, operate from? And so one of the women that I worked with during her pregnancy was in a relationship that was very rocky. As it later turns out, he really didn't want to be a dad. And so there was a lot of underlying turmoil between her and her partner at the time of her pregnancy. And so she was working through that emotionally. And on top of that, there was a lot of physical challenges happening as well throughout the pregnancy. And so in those moments, it was really about working with what was happening in the moment and being at peace with how her body was processing and handling the pregnancy, and still knowing that she was worth having this child, even though her partner necessarily wasn't ready or wanting to be a part of it. And so sometimes there may be physical changes that you notice, like working with morning sickness or cravings potentially. Like there's those sides of the equation that we can work with, but there's also the emotional side. And so for the person to clarify, what do they want, even if it's one baby step forward, even if the big picture over here seems out of reach, let's at least move one step forward and work in that moment with the subconscious of being, again, at peace, loving your body through the process, not hating how it looks through the changes. So identifying what you want and then working with it at the subconscious level through the processes of PSYCH-K. And I personally don't do the brain mapping, but there's been studies with brain mapping that show when you do a PSYCH-K process, how new neural connections are created between the left and right hemisphere of the brain, creating a whole brain state. So the body is actually also changing, at least for sure at a neural level that we have proof of, when these belief changes occur, and how that allows an individual to come more into themselves, centered and grounded, and access more aspects of themselves that they weren't able to. Because if one side of our brain or both parts of our brain are shut down to something, we're not going to be able to move forward. It's like having the foot, the car in park, but your foot on the gas, it's not going to go anywhere. So the subconscious change process is all about taking the car into drive, putting your foot on the gas and going in the direction that you want. And as you continue to go, you'll learn and understand and have more awareness about what else there is to help shift. So sometimes it's like peeling back layers of an onion. That's that one baby step at a time. And other times it's like straight to the core of, the onion, and knowing really what's at the core and shifting it. And then a person can really experience some pretty transformational change pretty quickly.
That's so beautiful. And I love the analogy that you have given. It's like having all of these different pieces work together, and it's all about helping, using our subconscious and having our subconscious support us to what we are trying to accomplish. So all of that is amazing. So now maybe you can share the tips that you have. So my dear viewers, usually what we do during these interviews, during the last 10 minutes, we kind of give a kind of a group healing session, which is not possible with PSYCH-K. So instead of that, Tashina has offered to share some tips that any woman who is trying to get pregnant or going through the pregnancy can actually use. So let's go with it.
Yeah. The first thing I would recommend is, whether you're a person that likes to type it out or write it out, but write out the story that you've told yourself about fertility. If you're in that stage, write out the story you've told yourself about pregnancy, and write out the story you've told yourself or have heard your whole life potentially about childbirth. And think about every detail possible. And then also have your partner do that. And then what you can do is you maybe even read it aloud to yourself. Maybe you can self-record it into your phone notes section, audio section, and play it back, because we're often able to hear things differently than if we see it. And so it's very interesting when you start to listen to people speak, you start to hear the limiting beliefs that come through. So as you're writing your story and then speaking it aloud or listening back to it, write down things that you hear you're scared of. Write down things that you think could potentially be holding you back. You know, fear of the actual pain of childbirth, shame around how my body's going to look, fear that my partner is no longer going to be attracted to me when I'm pregnant or after I've had the baby, fear that I won't be a good mother or a father, fear that I won't be a good dad. I'm going to repeat the same mistakes my dad made growing up. You know, so write down and as much as possible, flush out all of the negative self-talk, the fears, the doubts, the traumas potentially that you're hearing in that story. And even if it's not from the story, even if you're already at a place where you really consciously know what your fears and doubts are, write them down. And what I like to do is I like to write it on a piece of paper and have the negative self-talk be on the left side of the paper, and I'll fold it. And so I'll write all the negative self-talk on the left, and then I'd flip it over, and on the right-hand side of the paper, you could even open it if you want, write down the corresponding empowering reality that you would rather experience. And that's a really beautiful way to start working to clarify what you'd rather have. So I want to be my own advocate during childbirth. I want to love my body through the process. I want to embrace the sensations of childbirth. That's very different than it's going to be painful and horrible, right? Or if my birth plan changes, I'm at peace with it, right? So we can plan as much as we want. We can work with the subconscious as much as we want. Sometimes there's other life lessons that await us through an experience, but we can come to those experiences from a place of being at peace with the change, flowing with the change, adapting to it. And that's very different than approaching the change from fear and scarcity and trauma previously. So an exercise would be to write down your empowering reality that you'd like to experience. If you are in a place that you feel that you can write down an actual statement, a really great way to write a statement is have it first person, positively stated, emotionally meaningful, and present tense. So those are 4 really empowering elements to include in a statement. So I want is not present tense for the subconscious. The subconscious will hear the word want, which is always futuristic. So instead of I want to enjoy the birth process, the most empowering version of that would be I enjoy the birth process. And when you're doing that, again, making them emotionally meaningful to you, so choosing words that bring about joy and love and make you go like, ah, yeah, like this is really what I want from it. Because the thing that we've been told throughout life is, at least one that I heard a lot from myself and friends, is, you know, dream as big as you want, but, you know, be prepared to kind of settle over here. We don't have to settle in any stage of our life, in any area of our life. So the purpose in creating this empowered reality that you want is dream big. Don't sell yourself short, because change can happen, and it can happen very quickly. Change doesn't have to take a long time. That's a belief in and of itself. And so if you really set yourself up to dream and create the life that you want and you work with your subconscious to create that reality, you've got more pieces of the puzzle together working for you than against you. So that would be the exercise I would offer as a starting place.
That is an amazing exercise to do. And what were those 4 elements you said? You said the present tense,
First person,
first person.
positively stated,
Mm-hmm.
and emotionally meaningful. So in my sessions, I usually ask my partners, I don't call them clients, partners, I'm just working with them, can that statement get any better? Can it get any juicier? So I like to use the word juice, but you know, choose the wording that works for you. Again, that brings about that emotional life. When you think about it, say it and feel it and even hear it.
That's nice. And can you maybe just give us 1 or 2 examples so audience who are writing it can have more help? So you said already one statement, which was
I don't remember exactly what it was. I work with my body during childbirth.
Yeah, and I want to embrace
I
sensations.
embrace the sensations. I think it was, I embrace the sensations during childbirth.
Beautiful. Wow. And with regards to Psyche, my dear viewers, the positive statements that you're writing with these 4 elements are the exact statements that, let's say, if you're working with a Psyche facilitator, these are the kind of statements that they help you reprogram it into your subconscious, like programming it into your subconscious. And the thing that I love about Psyche is how quickly that Psyche can actually help us. When we have this statement, for example, of course, we all have heard about affirmations. And it's like, keep saying these affirmations 200 times a day, 300 times a day to put it into your subconscious, right? But now after discovering Psyche, literally, I think I have done at least 1 or 2 sessions per month with different, of course, with 0 Point Healing, I have access to so many different beautiful Psyche facilitators. So actually tomorrow evening, I have 1 Psyche session booked.
Awesome.
So, yeah, so working with Psyche has been so much fun process for me. So every month, of course, I tend to have like a journal where I'm writing down what are the kind of beliefs I would like to have and what are the kind of beliefs that I would like to get rid of. In general, working with my business, the abundance and the financial aspect of things are something that I usually work on a lot. So as soon as I have 4 to 5 beautiful beliefs that I would like to have, I'll go ahead and book a Psyche session. And how this has helped me is, again, since most of it I'm working on, let's say, my abundance blocks, for example, every, let's say, $100 or $200, how much ever is per session, every $100 that I'm investing in my healing, usually I get it back within a month from my business. So it's rather, for me, rather as thinking of it as an expense, I have it as an investment. Okay,
Yes.
so I'm investing $100 here, I'm getting a return back on $1,000 a month for every healing session I'm doing. So how can it get any better than that, right? 10x return on investment every month that I'm investing into this healing process. And it's so beautiful. Psyche, how just within 10 minutes, maybe not even 10 minutes these days, like 5 minutes, when you do a balance, there is it. Your subconscious already has that positive belief that you just had it on writing in a paper. So it's as easy as writing it on a paper as how you're writing it in your subconscious. So that process itself has become so easy. So do you want to share with us any client story, any kind of client results on, how they work with you, what happens during the process as they work with you, and what kind of maybe results that they have got after working with you?
Every person is so different. So I don't have a box that I fit people into. I really like to fit my offerings to them and their life and where they're at. But every session includes, like, kind of the motto, at least my mom that definitely instilled in me for the Psyche, is open and curious. As long as we can stay open and curious in a session to what's coming up and what's the next best step for us to take in a session, we can never get stuck. And as far as how many sessions does it take? Again, everyone's so different, and it really depends on the individual's goals. The clients that I've worked with has ranged from, I work a lot with dancers still because I'm still very much in that world. I still teach and travel minus COVID times for dancing. So I work a lot with mindset and performance with dancers. I've worked with the pregnancy and childbirth. I've worked with the fertility some, and more empowerment in the birthing process. So one woman that I worked with, I actually just worked with her once, and it was, I think, about a month and a half before she gave birth. And she went into labor, went into the hospital, and what we had worked on in that session was just being very calm and relaxed in the process, not panicked, and allowing the energy or the, you know, the hustle and bustle of the nurses around her to get her all riled up. And the nurses commented, "Is this like your third or fourth baby? You're so calm, you're so chill." And she's like, "No, this is my first baby. I'm good. You know, I got this." And the nurses just told her that they were just amazed at how present and relaxed she was in it, rather than that nervousness that often first time moms experience. And so that was really beautiful to hear. And so that obviously created this beautiful environment for her son to be born into. So her body was able to open and relax more, allow the contractions to occur naturally, rather than the fear and all of that tightening up the body, which makes it harder for the baby to pass through the birth canal. So that was a really beautiful, you know, experience to hear that she had, and that also the nurses noticed, because that makes everyone work more cohesively and smoothly together. And then I've worked with people in the business realm of things. So there's literally not one area of life that I have found that you cannot use the processes of subconscious change with PSYCH-K. It's really just an empowering, transformational set of processes. And I love the childbirth realm. I really want to help families start off their family in a really centered, grounded space.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. My dear viewers, so you have the link to Tashina right below the video. You can click on that. You can have a conversation with her. So when you click on the link below, you will be taken to her profile on 0 Point Healing, and you can click on book a session button where it will open up a chat window that you can use to chat with her. Tell her, you know, what kind of point you are at and what kind of help you would like to have, and from there she will be able to kind of create a plan, and you will be able to work with her. And in addition to that, you also have a 10% off discount coupon code just for watching this video, and the discount coupon is 0 Point. So when you contact her, just let her know that you found her from 0 Point. Thank you so much. Is there any final words, Tashina?
No, thank you for following your calling and your passion and creating this platform. It's wonderful, and so much appreciation and gratitude to you for this opportunity tonight to speak with you.
Thank you so much, my dear viewers. I'm going to see you next time. So if at all you're watching this video on YouTube, please do subscribe and please do share this video. If you know of any women going through any kind of fertility issue or going through pregnancy, and if you think they need some support, then please do share this video with them. Just by following some of the exercises that Tashina shared with us today is going to help them. So thank you so much for all your support. I'm going to see you next time. Bye-bye for now.